Hello everybody, this is Howard the Teaserking coming to you with a couple more conferences to get ready for the college football season. Today we're going to talk about the MAC and I'm going to talk about the AAC. The AAC is my favorite conference. It's where the most money is made. I had so many locks in this conference last year. Just great teams that are undervalued, and you just make they very competitive. So when they get the soft team, they kill them. You got teams like Navy who just keep scoring because nobody can stop their offense. South Florida, UCF, Memphis, Temple, Houston. It just keeps going and getting better and better. And let's talk about them today. So again, getting ready for the season. If you have any questions or comments on my other videos, just send me an email. Again, the numbers will change. So if I start off with a team that's a 1 and a team that's a 3 and a team that's a 5, now as injuries happen, as the new quarterback is really good on the team that has a new quarterback. So, South Florida, Quentin Flowers, he graduates. Hopefully one smart NFL team will pick him up because he's better than quite a few of the guys that are so-called playing in the NFL who, are not good. Again, I don't know what the GMs look for there. It's just terrible GMing, and they pick the wrong talent, so they don't know their criteria of what they're looking for. In reality, of what makes a good quarterback are two different things, and they don't look at a winner. They don't know what a winner and a loser are, and that's their primary problem. So anyway, South Florida might start off as a 3, but all of a sudden the quarterback's great, and he's moving the team up and down the field, and all of a sudden they have all this talent from last couple of years, and then boom, now they're a 1. Or the quarterback could be terrible, and then they get some injuries. All of a sudden they're now a 4. I mean, when I started following them like 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I had them as a 4 or 5, and then Flowers comes in, and this was a team that would lose like 28-0, and I go, oh, I'm betting against South Florida, and then Flowers came in, and they went from a 3 or 4 to a 2. So the quarterback is always key. All right, let's go into it. I've got my number 1s here. Let's just quickly rank the teams. UCF, number 1, even though they lost the coach, they still have Mackenzie Milton, great quarterback. The defense, a couple of the guys, the brothers went to Seattle, the kid with the hurt hand, but they still have a very good team. Heupel, we'll see how he coaches. He's the missing ingredient, but hopefully he'll just let the team play and then kind of tweak it a little bit. I got Memphis as a 1. They're loaded except for, let's see who the new quarterback is. Supposed to be good, but we'll see. Houston I have as a 1. Their quarterback supposedly got a lot better. We'll see that. So Memphis and Houston could be 1s, but they could be 2s if the new quarterbacks aren't very good. Houston also has Major Applewhite as their coach, who's a good offensive coach. And Houston's going more to a spread offense. Now the thing with Houston is they got a killer defense, so if they can do anything on offense, and they did beat South Florida last year, so if they can play like that, you're looking at Houston being a 1. My 2s are South Florida, depending on the quarterback again. Now that's, they'd be a 1 with Quentin Flowers. They're pretty loaded, but again, I don't really like Charlie Strong. I don't think he knows what he's doing. And we'll see how Quentin Flowers gets replaced. And then, again, they could be a 4. This is college because you don't know the new quarterback. I have Navy as a 2. Great quarterback, Malcolm Perry, and he's a great runner. Their quarterback last year was not a very good outside runner. Now that Perry's in, he's faster, and he'll light it up. And they got a lot of returning guys. Their defense needs to improve a little bit. I love their coach. So Navy's a 2, Temple's a 2, SMU's a 3. They'll be a very good over and a very good offense and a terrible defense. Tulane's a 3. Cincinnati, Tulsa, and Connecticut are 4s. And East Carolina is the real bad team, the 5. So we're betting against East Carolina, probably Connecticut, and we'll see what happens with Tulsa and Cincinnati. I don't like Luke Fickell. He had all the talent in the world at Ohio State, couldn't get it done, and now what's he supposed to do? You know, Cincinnati's terrible. So let's walk through this. UCF, Mackenzie Milton. I got him ranked as a 1. I got a 1 quarterback. He's the best. A 1 offense, a 2 defense, and a 3 as a coach because I don't know. Because when you lose to Scott Frost, who was a 1, you've got a Josh Heupel, one of these offensive quarterback types. So let's see how he does. But UCF, as long as Milton is healthy, we'll be betting them pretty hard, pretty often. They average 50 a game, and Heupel will not hurt that. It's just a matter of their defense and resting their defense enough. But look for UCF to be dynamite again. Memphis, I have them as a 1. Their defense worries me, but they scored 48 a game. So the coach is still there. The quarterback was in the system, so it's not like, let's see, do I have anything on the quarterback? No, it's just a question mark. So we're not sure of the quarterback. So I gave him a 2 because of the system, but that's one of those we'll see. I gave their offense a 1 because they're going to be throwing the ball all over. And then their defense is a 3, and the coach I like is a 2. So again, this is a situation where the quarterback should be able to understand the system and do it. Not right away, but after 2 or 3 games. I think we got to look at their scoring. They average 47 a game. So let's see if they get into the 40s the first couple of games. Their defense let up 33, however. That's why I gave it a 3. It's supposed to be a little better, but we'll see. And a lot will depend on the quarterback, how they're going to play. Houston, I touched on. I give their quarterback, Derek King, a 2. I give their offense a 2 because Applewhite's supposedly spreading it and making it a much stronger offense. I give their defense a 1. Their defense is loaded. They got a top 5 draft pick on the defensive line. And the coach is a 2, Applewhite. It's funny how so many coaches leave Houston. They had someone, he left. Then they had Herman and Healy. I don't know why everybody runs away. And then you never hear from them again. So, you take the money in the short run, but it doesn't really do you any good. And that's not why you're coaching. If you're coaching for the money and all you do is kind of, leave for a few more dollars, then that's not the reason to be doing your job, and it's kind of terrible. It's really stupid, in my opinion, when you have a chance to, I don't think Scott Frost should have left UCF for Nebraska. I think that was, you have a good thing. You're going to win that conference. You're going to compete. You go to Nebraska and you get to play Ohio State, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Penn State. Good luck, Scott Frost, handling Nebraska. I don't know. I think that's a stupid move. You're making a couple million at UCF. I just don't understand it. So I look at Houston to really be a strong team. Very strong defense. They should have a strong offense with King. Like I said, South Florida, I got him as a 2. The quarterback I have, I don't know. It's a 2 or a 3. Let's see. From what I'm reading, he should be good. Offense should be a 1, but again, it bases on the quarterback. They got great receivers, great runners. The defense is a 3. They gave up 22 a game last year. Here's where they were 38 points a game scoring and giving up 22. But I don't know that they'll get to 38. And then will the defense hold them to 22? I think Strong doesn't understand it. He wants to run more. He was running South Florida more, and he didn't let Flowers run his option as much as he should have, which cost him against UCF. Finally, Flowers took over in the Texas Tech game, and that's why they won, because he said screw it, and he started scrambling and running his plays, and they drove right down the field. So I give their offense a 1 pending the quarterback, or was it all Flowers? I give their defense a 3. The coach I don't like. I gave him a 3. So, it's tough. I mean, they'll definitely take a step back without Flowers, and that'll hurt them. But let's see what the new quarterback is. And this will probably be adjusted. South Florida will either go up to a 1 or down to a 3, maybe a 4, if the quarterback isn't any good. But I love, they have a great receiver, McCants, number 8. Keep an eye on that. That's first round draft pick for sure. Then I got Navy as a 2. Their quarterback's a 1. Their offense is a 1. They average 29 a game. Their defense I marked as a 2, and I love their coach as a 1. Navy will be a strong dog. You'll have to see when they play Houston. They play Memphis pretty good. UCF, I got to look at last year's game. That'll be a tough one for them. But they handle passing teams relatively good. They beat Notre Dame, or were very close with them the last few years. So look for Navy. Very hard to stop that offense with Perry, and their defense is getting better and better. And again, the excellent coach. So Navy is, to me, they're a very live favorite because they just blow you out. They open at Hawaii, and they're just going to put up 50 points. I mean, once they start running that option, you can't stop it, and that's all they do. So it's not like it's a passing team, and then they start running the ball because they're up 28, and then the other team comes back because they're just going 3 and out. When you're a running team like Navy and you start getting the lead and you keep scoring, you keep running, but that's your game. And look for them to just pile it on. So, very love Navy. They've been covering very strongly. Temple, kind of a weak offense last year, only getting 24 a game. New quarterback, but he's supposed to be good. So I think he played a few games last year. I give the quarterback a 2, their offense a 2, their defense a 2. The coach, Collins, the Florida defensive coordinator, I gave him a 3. I don't like anybody from Florida. Is not very good, so I'm not crazy about that. We'll see. Again, they lost Rule, their good coach, went to Baylor. Again, it's just stupid. It's like dating that pretty girl, and then and everything's great, and then you see this other girl, and you leave your girl for this other girl, and the other girl, there's no reason you're leaving her just because she's a little prettier or something, and then it doesn't work out, and you're like, oh, I wish I was still with the girl that I want to be with, and it's just the same thing. Everything's running great at Temple, and he leaves for Baylor. It's like, good luck. And they do it for money, and they're so blind and so stupid, it just amazes me. The next is SMU. I gave them a 3. They're an over team. Over-unders, I got UCF and Memphis is over. I got South Florida as an over. The Navy is an over. SMU is definitely an over. They score 40 a game, give up 35. The antithesis of an over team. Ben Hicks, good quarterback. He's a 2. Their offense is a 1. Their defense is a 4. It's terrible. Their coach, Sonny Dykes, I think he was at Cal, and he couldn't get it done there. And he didn't have much of an offense. That's the thing. When you play a real tough defense, that will neutralize the offense. So don't anybody play the over when Houston's playing unless Houston starts scoring, because Houston's got that tough defense. So Houston can shut down most of these teams. I'm not sure about if they can shut Navy and UCF, but Houston's shut down South Florida last year. I think they beat them 28-24. So even though it was a 52, South Florida averaged 38 a game, but only scored 24 against them. I thought that was bad coaching by Strong in that game because South Florida should have won. But with that said, that's the only team you got to be careful with the strong defense. But definitely Memphis, South Florida, and then East Carolina and Connecticut, all these bad teams, that SMU should be an over for sure. Good quarterback, good offense, so they'll be scoring a lot of points. But be careful out of conference. UCF, you can probably get away if they played, another, a Big Ten team or an ACC team. They can probably hang with them. Memphis, prove it. They beat UCLA, I think, so they can. And Houston's beaten Oklahoma, so they can. Even South Florida. Navy plays Notre Dame tough. So they will be okay out of conference, but in conference. This is a very strong conference that's so underrated, but they get you the money all the time. Tulane's got a very good quarterback, Jonathan Banks. Well, he's a option quarterback, but I think he's strong. I gave him a 2, and I give their offense a 2. Just the way they are, but their defense is a 3, and I like their coach, Fritz. She used to be at Georgia Southern, a strange move from Georgia Southern to Tulane. I'm assuming Georgia Southern only could pay $10,000 a year or something. Then he moves to who'd move from Georgia Southern to Tulane, but he's a good coach. They run a similar offense to the Navy, but this Jonathan Banks is a pretty good option quarterback. So I look for them to, I don't know if they'll be over, but if they start scoring more. They had a lot of injuries last year, and that really hurts you. So that's the problem. Actually, I'm going to give them a 4 defense. So let's give them a 2 on offense, a 2 on quarterback, a 4 on defense. I got him as a weak defense, so it might almost be a 5. So this is definitely an over team with this quarterback. But they're kind of running the Navy offense. So that's what you're looking at they're going to pound it down your throat. Next up, Cincinnati. I gave them a 4. Probably should be a 5. They're pathetic. Fickle's terrible. They're rebuilding. They only scored 20 a game and let up 31 a game. I gave their quarterback a 3, their offense a 4, their defense a 3, their coach a 3. Probably should be a 4. I just don't see Fickle as a good coach. Half these teams will blow out Cincinnati. They're probably a good bet against. Tulsa's I gave a 4. They're also terrible. They scored 29 a game. It gave up 38. They're one of these teams with a weak defense. Their quarterback stinks. I gave them a 3 as the offense a 3. Defense is a 4. And the coach is a 3. They're going to try a little bit more of the Baylor run type of offense. They used to be explosive. Then they went more to a kind of a running game. They got a great running back in D'Angelo Brewer, but we'll see how that fits. But basically, these should be pretty high-scoring games with Tulsa. But not much of an offense. So it's hard to bet on them unless they're playing Cincinnati or Connecticut or East Carolina. When you got the bad teams playing each other, so Cincinnati is playing Tulsa, you usually want to take the home. If there's a home dog, you take it. Otherwise, you want the dog, because usually both teams are so bad that it ends up being a close game because neither team can really win. Okay, next, Connecticut. Gave them a 4. They're terrible. Their quarterback, I don't know who it is. I gave it a 3 based on reading. The offense is a 4. Their defense is a 4. The coach, I give a 3, but probably should be a 4. He was there before. So here's a perfect example. He was at Connecticut, and everything's great, and then he moves to Boston College or something in the ACC for a little bit more money, and guess what? He's stuck there, And now he's back with the old girl, Connecticut, and things aren't working out because he doesn't really care because he really doesn't want to be there. And so therefore you end up with a lousy team and a lousy coach. 5, East Carolina. They're terrible. They scored 24 a game, give up 45. Their quarterback stinks. The 4. Their offense is a 3. Their defense is a 5. Their coach is a 5. This is a team you bet against unless they're playing like a Connecticut or the Tulsa or the Cincinnati, who really won't blow them out because they're so bad. Tulsa maybe could blow them out. They actually scored 29, but like Cincinnati, teams that are like Cincinnati that only score 20 a game, and you see them favored, it's almost like bet against them because they can't score a lot. So how are they going to cover? And it's not like they have a killer defense. They give up 31, so even a weak team can score on them, and they're not going to score too much. So it's very hard for them to be a favorite. Let's give you an example. So Cincinnati. Okay, Cincinnati was 7-5 in a teaser and 8-4 against. As a favorite, they're a favorite 3 times, and 3 times if you bet against them, you won, which is my point. They were a good road dog for some reason. They probably got so many points. They're 5-1 as a road dog and 2-4 against. So I'm not saying they won the games on the road. They kept them close. But at home, where the spread was milder, they were 5-0 bet against. So at home, 5-0 when the spread's more. Cincinnati, instead of laying 2s, laying 7. So twice they're a favorite, you bet against, you win. 3 times as a home dog, you bet against, you win, and once as a road favorite. So 6-0 when the spread is more to their liking. And here's East Carolina. They were 6-6 in a teaser, and if you bet against them, 9-3, and they're more traditionally 5-1 against as a road dog. So you can see what I'm saying. Connecticut was also 9-3 against the number. Again, 5-1 against at home. So you can see when the spread's a little stronger for them because they're at home, they don't cover it. And the road dog, they're probably getting 30 points, so they cover by mistake because they're the road dog. And that's kind of what happens a lot. Alright, so basically that's your AAC, American Athletic Conference. The money teams are still going to be UCF. You got to see Memphis' new quarterback. You got to see Houston. If they open their offense, they'll have a great defense. South Florida, it's dependent on their offense. Navy will just get you money all day long. Temple should have a better offense. They always have a good defense, so they'll be one to watch. SMU over. Any weaker team go over with. First week they play, I think it's North Texas or Texas State. I think it's North Texas, who's also an over. Unless the over-under is 80. If it's anything in the 60s, that's a strong play. SMU over in the first week. All right, that's that. Let's go to the MAC real quick. The MAC, the key players there. Ohio's a 1, Northern Illinois is a 1. The 2s, Toledo, Western Michigan, Buffalo, Miami of Ohio. The 3s, Akron, Bowling Green, Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan. The 4 is Ball State, and the 5 is Kent State. Kent State is our bitch in that conference. And that's just what you're looking for. So we're going to be betting against Kent State all over the place. Pretty much against Ball State also. The sleeper here is really Buffalo. They've all of a sudden went from this great defensive team to now they have a really good offense. Tyree Jackson's a good quarterback, and they got a great receiver. So all of a sudden look for Buffalo as a very live dog here. I got them as an over because they're supposed to be very explosive this year. Again, I've seen the quarterback enough. He's a winner. They're a team that really gets the money. Let's see what they did in 17. Buffalo. Buffalo was 10-1 in a teaser, 7-4 against, 5-0 at home, 2-0 as a road favorite, which is critical, and 3-1 as a road dog. And the reason I say that, when you can win on the road as a favorite, that's when you know the team's arrived, because it's not easy. You're going on the road and you got to beat the team. The team's, they're upset that they're the dog and they know they're the dog. So that's what you look for. So here's Buffalo 10-1. So that's what you want. So they should be a very live dog, but a very live team. So look for Buffalo to cover. Ohio, let's go with them. Number 1. They got a great quarterback, Nathan Rourke. Number 1 quarterback, number 1 on offense. Their defense is a 3, and the coach is a 3. I think it's Frank Solich, who used to be at Nebraska, who stunk there. So look for Ohio. They're going to be fighting it out with Northern Illinois, Toledo, Western, and Buffalo, all have a chance to win it. So it should be a competitive. But Ohio put up 39 a game last year. So this is where the stats help. What the stats tell me, like if you look at Ohio, you go, who the hell are they? It's not Ohio State, it's not Michigan, it's not Alabama, it's not USC. So you know, like nobody knows Ohio, right? And that's what they're counting on. And most people don't bet these teams because I don't even know. I couldn't name a player on Ohio. Well, Nathan Rourke's their quarterback. Now everybody can name the quarterback on Ohio. This is the best team in the MAC. Again, nobody knows it. It's been Toledo and Western. So now it's Ohio's turn, but they're experienced. They got a really strong team. So look at Ohio, and they're going to score. They score 39 a game. They give up 25, so it is a very good over team. Keep that in mind. Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois, I've got as a 1. They're very well coached. I love their coach. Marcus Childress is finally healthy. They've had quarterback problems the last 2-3 years where they've went through quarterback after quarterback, but they have a strong roster. They have good running. They got a strong defense. So I've got them as a 2 quarterback, 2 offense, 2 defense, and a 1 coach. So they're very strong. They only give up 20.8, so they got a good defense. They score 30. I think they open with Iowa. Look for them to give Iowa all they want. They won't be intimidated there. And Iowa's not that strong, so look for, don't be surprised if Northern Illinois beats Iowa. It should be a very competitive game. Toledo. Toledo I've got as a 2. They scored 39 and gave up 25, but they had a great quarterback in Logan Woodside, who should be starting at Cincinnati if they don't have Quentin Flowers there. But I look for, they got to replace Logan Woodside. I don't have a rank for the quarterback. Again, it's a wait and see. They got some kid who played a few games last year through 10 pass. He was in mop-up time. So I don't know why coaches do that. It's like, get the kid some experience. So this year he's at least played in, he's thrown 50 passes. He's got an idea. You can't just put him in with no experience. You waste 2 or 3 games for him to finally get the grasp. Supposedly they should have a 1 offense if the quarterback is okay. Their defense slipped a little as a 3, and I love their coach as a 1. So again, don't look at them to score 39 a game, and really that's going to be the key. The new quarterback that comes in, let's see what he does. But they're supposedly loaded. Good offense, good receivers, good running backs. Their only problem's quarterback. Now again, here's where the coach comes in. He recruits well. He's got a backup quarterback. So Woodside goes to the pros. And again, he should be starting at Cincinnati, but I don't mind giving him the first year to watch Andy Dalton and learn how not to do things, and then he can take over the next year. I hate when these NFL guys, they want to start, what was Trubisky even drafted for, but to make him, to get him in against the Bears, for the Bears after 5 or 6 games is a joke. First of all, that guy's not an NFL quarterback, and secondly, he didn't play enough in college, and then secondly, that guy should just be watching the whole first year. any of these quarterbacks, you don't put them right in after 2 or 3 games. Are you kidding me? And that's how stupid these coaches are. Oh, we got to win now. We got to win now. So we'll put a guy in who has no chance to win because he doesn't have enough experience. And jumping from the to the NFL, it takes a while. You sit them out a year at least. Even Joe Montana won, what, 1 game, 2 games the first year until they got the rhythm. So it's not a very good idea to just throw these guys in the first, okay, you've watched for 4 games. We suck. Now let's throw the quarterback in and then wonder why you're fired because you're an idiot. Okay, so Toledo's loaded. Let's see the quarterbacks. Again, Toledo's a game. You got to watch the first 2 or 3 games. Hard to bet them, although they should be solid. If they played a really, really weak team, and I noticed the first week is always, they play some high school team, and, it doesn't really tell you anything. But in this case, it would help the quarterback get some experience. Western Michigan, too. Again, the coach leaving. He was successful. They won. And then he goes to Minnesota, and they suck. So basically, again, the coach leaves for a prettier girl, and then turns out she's a bitch, and whoops, I made a mistake. And you can't go back when you make the mistake. So, huge mistake by the Western coach. But let's look at him. I rank him as a 2. They've got a lot of talent. The Western guy that left could recruit. They still scored 33 a game without him and without their quarterback who went to the pros 2 years ago. They gave up 29, a little bit too weak on defense. I gave the quarterback a 2. He's good, Wozniak. I gave their offense a 2. The defense is a 3, and the coach I give a 3 until we can figure out the coach. This is the battle we have with, you're trying to pick games, and you've got all these new coaches, new quarterbacks. Before, you've had Woody Hayes or Bo, and you knew it didn't matter if it was a new quarterback. You knew he'd see the system, and you knew they recruited well and the same type. So Woody was very reliable even with new quarterbacks. So was Bo. But, when you lose the coach, now you don't know what you're getting. And it's very, like for me, it's just I got to watch because I don't know. I gotta grade the coach, and then I got to grade the quarterback. And you just don't know. And then they look good for a few games, and then the other teams get tape on them, and they figure them out, and then they suck. So very hard with these new coaches, new quarterbacks. But Wozniak's a good one, so I think Western could be good if the coach is any good. Buffalo, I give them a 2, but could end up being a 1. Very good quarterback, Tyree Jackson, give them a 1. Their offense is a 2, but could be a 1. Their defense is a 2, and the coach is a 2. They got a coach from like Division II who won like all these games and won the Division II titles. Not the South Dakota State one, but another one, like Wisconsin Whitewater or something. And those are the coaches that bring in the strong defense, and then they get to the offense. Look for Buffalo. Very good chance to win it. A lot of very explosive, good quarterback, good receiver, strong defense. Look at Buffalo. Miami of Ohio. I give them a 2. I make them a 2. Very strong quarterback, Gus Ragland. Again, who knows him? But Teaserking, of course. I give their offense a 3, even though they have a good quarterback, because they only scored 24 a game, but they were injured, so this will be curious. Maybe it's a 2. Their defense is a 2. They're very loaded. I gave the coach a 3, but they could very well be right in it at the end, too. Very experienced, very loaded team. So look for Miami of Ohio to don't be surprised when they get wins. Akron, another injured team. I gave them a 3 that could easily be a 2. The quarterback, Cato Nelson, they're going to run an option type of attack. I give him a 2. I give their offense a 3, which could be a 1 because they can run the ball. It's a very balanced attack. They have a 2 as a defense. So they're very strong defensively. Again, I give the coach a 3. I think it's Bowden, but basically, again, Akron's a very good team. You know, these teams go play Penn State or they go play the Big Ten, Michigan, Michigan State, and you think it'll be a blowout. Well, it depends. Ohio will give them fits. They play Kent State, then it'll be a blowout. So that's what you're looking for. But be aware, Akron's a very strong team, mostly twos. It's just a lot of injuries last year. See, that's the thing. When the team starts getting a lot of injuries, it's not the same team, right? Because not everybody's the same. As much as everybody thinks you can just plug in the next guy, it doesn't work that way. Very different skill sets from one player to another. And, you know, so once you get to the backup in the third stringer, well, it's not the same team as a bunch of first stringers as it is a bunch of third stringers. So you got to be careful with that. Bowling Green, I give a 3. Jarrett Nogi, very strong quarterback. Again, their coach left for Syracuse a few years ago, another big mistake. And he was running the Baylor offense. So the new guy came in and was running the Baylor offense, but he's had injury problems at quarterback. Dogie came in and he's been very good. I give him a 2. I give him a 2 offensively, a 5 defensively. This is a perfect over team. With Dogie in, they're going to score a lot and gave up 38 with a terrible defense. So look for them. See, there you want them to play SMU and those teams that I told you was over in the last section. So what you want is, so you would love like Navy to be playing Bowling Green or Memphis or UCF, SMU. You put them against Bowling Green and it's over city. And those are the games you just bet over, and they'll just score because they give up 38 a game. They can't stop anybody. Central Michigan, this is a big question mark. I gave him a 3 based on uncertainty. I don't know who the quarterback is. He's not that experienced. You got to see how he is. I gave their offense a 4. It's going to be lousy. I gave their defense a 3. Could be okay. I gave their coach a 3. They have a good running back in Spalding, but I don't know. I mean, they scored 29 and gave up 26 last year, so that's why they're a 3. Maybe their offense, again, the quarterback comes in and he's good, and they got Antonio Brown Jr. in there. They could be a 2, but again, there's a lot of uncertainty there, a lot of graduation, so we'll see. Eastern Michigan lost Rollback as their quarterback to the NFL. He's third stringer somewhere. He actually got drafted. He's a free agent. They scored 26, gave up 23. New quarterback. I've got him as an under team. They won't score a lot. Their defense is supposed to be very good. They gave their offense a 3 with whoever the quarterback is. Defense is a 2. The coach is a 3. He's a pretty good coach. Considering where Eastern used to be a 5 every year. Next team, Ball State, gave him a 4. This is an injury team that could be a lot better. Riley Neal, another option quarterback. I give him a 2. I give their offense a 3, but could be a 2. Their defense is a 5. Their coach is a 5. Again, a lot of injuries, so they scored only 18 points and gave up 40. They should score probably in the high 20s to 30. Problem is they'll still give up 40. They're another over team. So we want them playing Bowling Green. We want them playing Ohio. We want them playing Western. All these, that's what we're looking for. The high scoring teams with the kind of decent defense. But I look for Riley Neal to have a good year. So you'll get scoring from him. Just bet him in the right situation against a weaker team. And the bitch of the conference, a 5, Kent State, scored a whole 12 points a game. How do you do that? 12 points, you gave up 35. The quarterback, new quarterback, I gave him a 3, 5 on it for offense, 5 for defense, 5 for coach. New coach, Sean Lewis, never heard of him, from somewhere. Parts unknown. So Kent State's just a bet against team. The problem is they open at Illinois, who sucks. So it's not like I'm like, oh, I'll bet on whoever they play in the opener, but I don't know if Illinois has got a 5 in the Big Ten. So keep in mind, when I rank Ohio as a 1, it's in conference, right? When I rank Alabama 1, that's everywhere, depending on the conference, right? The SEC a 1, they can play with anybody. Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, Georgia, Washington, those teams are 1 everywhere. In these littler conferences, Ohio's a 1, but they're not playing with the big boys as a 1. They're if you looked at the whole scheme, if I rank every team 1 through 10, now Illinois would still be like an 8. Nationally, they still suck. And the top teams in the MAC would beat Illinois, but they're not a 1 overall. So keep that in mind. When I'm ranking it, it's conference rank. Ohio's a 1 and Northern Illinois are 1 in the conference. And they're also telling you when they play, let's say they play a 3 team in another league, then they're actually, they're probably even with that. So, for example, like Colorado State. Well, let's go to the Pac-12. Let's go to the Big Ten because that's more apt to happen. So let's say who's a 3? Maryland. So Maryland's a 3. And if I got Ohio playing Maryland, that's a close game. I can't say Maryland's going to beat them because they're a Big Ten team versus Ohio. That game's very competitive. Northern Illinois will give them all they want. I think Northern Illinois opens with Nebraska, who's a 3. I'm not sure about that. No, it might not be. But Northern Illinois I think they got Iowa, I said. And Iowa's a 3. Now, that's my point. If I rank them a 3, Iowa I got as a 2. I got them as a 2. So it still should be, Northern Illinois should give Iowa all they want. These 1s in the MAC are going to play the middle of the like if they played SEC, Ole Miss or Kentucky, they give them all they want. Those aren't blowouts. They can't hang with the ones, the Washingtons, the Ohio States. That's where they're going to have trouble, and that's where you be careful with them. But when they play the 3s in those conferences, the 1s and the 2s can hang, like Buffalo could definitely hang with the 2s, for sure the 3s, 4s, and 5s of the Big Ten, let's say, or the SEC or whatever. So keep that in mind. When I rank it a 1, it's a very good team in that conference, but I'm not ranking 1 through 128 here, or I'm not, let's say that would probably be a 1 through 10 for the whole NCAA. That's a different ball game. So anyway, that is your conferences. So the MAC and the AAC. The AAC you can make a fortune with. Navy's very hard team to play because you can't practice Navy. Navy will give you, that offense cannot be practiced against because you don't have the same speed as Navy does. So you must be very careful there. So that's why we take Navy a lot. They cover a lot. Army's getting very competitive, much better. The coach is much better. They're getting better talent. So Army's also a team that you can definitely bet, and they definitely will win you ball games and make you money. So it's these teams here I just gave you is really where most of the money's made because, if Notre Dame's playing somebody, instead of laying 7, they're laying 11 or 12. And it's hard to bet Notre Dame. Alabama's overspread. Ohio State's overspread. Michigan's overspread. But the underspread teams I just gave you are right here. The UCFs, the South Floridas, the Navies, the Memphis, the Ohios, the Northern Illinois. These are underspread teams. This is where the value's at. They should be getting 10. They're getting 17. They should be laying 7. They're laying 3. Or they're getting points, but they actually should be favored. And that's what you're looking for. That's what it's all about. This is an investment. This isn't gambling. It's trying to be smart. It's waiting for the right matchup. It's getting the right line for an over-under. Like, you can look at that SMU North Texas game, and they're both explosive offenses. And you go, I'm going to bet the game over. But you can't. You got to wait for the line. And if the line's in the 60s, it's an over, bet it. If the line's 78, 79, it's like a stock, right? You're watching a stock sitting at 23, and now it jumps up to 24. Well, it's not a good buy. It's already taken the run up. You can't buy it then. You just got to wait for it to run back down. And when it runs down and then it settles, then you buy it because it's now low. Well, that's what a spread is, right? If the spread's, if the over-under is 78, it's too high. They'll never get there. Well, they could, but you've lost all the opportunity isn't as strong. But if the over-under is 55 in that game, then that's how I determine the locks. Is when I feel a bad line. And I had it in that, as I told you in another video, with Middle Tennessee State. The quarterback was out, comes back, 3 games left. Their scoring goes up 15 points a game, but in the bowl game, they don't adjust for the new quarterback. They keep the old line, and they easily covered it. So that's what you're looking for. All right, everybody, www.teaserking.com. I'm getting several emails. Yeah, if you've been with me, I will give you a discount to buy the year. That's pretty standard. And everything's coming out. So if you want to buy the year, talk to me. And I'm getting a lot, like, just buy when you're ready. The season starts the week of Labor Day. So you don't have to buy today. I mean, buy well, you only got a couple weeks. I think it's the 25th. What are we at? The 8th, the 9th? Today's the 11th. So you got to probably start, if you want the whole year, the next week. Probably by the 18th. I know there's a couple of games, and then it's Labor Day weekends is when all hell breaks loose. So anyway, enjoy the rest of your summer, and we've got 2 weeks until the fun time starts. So have a great summer. Again, www.teaserking.com. Thank you very much, everyone.